All right, everybody, we're back with a brand new Unsolved Health Mystery Case. Today, I'm with Ariel. Ariel, thanks so much for being here on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's an honor.
So we get to go through Ariel's minerals and metals test, sometimes called the hair tissue mineral analysis. We run tens of thousands of this lab every single year. It is one of my favorite labs to run because this is the very first lab I ran when I was 19 years old, when I was being introduced to naturopathic medicine, natural health, and integrative health. And so I'm obviously forever indebted to a lab like this and excited that you got to run this. Ariel and I have never met before. We just literally said hello 60 seconds before the show. I like to be able to go through what would be a shortened version of a client consultation and a lab results read and a personalized wellness plan while I'm speaking to Ariel for the first time. So once again, thank you, Ariel, so much for being on the show. I would love to start with maybe just a couple minutes of symptoms you might be having that led you to running this lab.
Yeah, so I've always had some very strange, like mystery symptoms that I never knew. I never really got answers to why exactly I would go through these types of things. So one thing that I usually deal with is chronic anxiety. I think I've had that since I was a child, but I think in the teenage years, you start to become more conscious of it. And I would say the top issues that I'm experiencing now would be still the bouts with the chronic anxiety. I also have tinnitus, chronic tinnitus that I've had for maybe over a decade. And I've noticed in recent times has gotten worse. And along with this type of ear pressure, similar to like I'm on an airplane where I have this type of muffled type sound.
Yes.
And along with that, issues that I've had since I was a kid is chronic sinusitis. So that's been affecting me heavy as well, mostly at night, because then I wake up super tired because I'm mouth breathing. I can't get any good sleep. So I have some sinus sprays that I usually take, but I don't want to rely on those because they're kind of just over the counter type stuff, which definitely help. But I know that's a short-term fix. So those are I would say the main things is chronic anxiety, the sinusitis, and the tinnitus.
Okay. And are you in your mid-20s right now?
I'm early 30s.
Early 30s. You look so young. You're doing something right, right?
Appreciate it.
So this is just good to know. So you've been dealing with this for about half your life, right? This is a chronic-based issue. Okay, so that's why I ask. Okay, so let's start to look at your lab, and then we'll just have some Q&A back and forth as well. So with just a little summary of what's going on, what I can share is this. Again, we ran the minerals and metals test. This is available to anyone all over the US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and we hope in the future other countries as well. But all it is a couple snips of hair. But the nice thing is your hair is protein, and it's going to show excretion. You probably have maybe, I would say, 2 to 3 months worth of what we're looking at on this lab, because every half inch of hair is about 30 days of data. And so essentially what we're looking for is excretion of these minerals and metals, heavy metals, into the hair. And if you have shorter hair on the side, kind of like mine, maybe yours is a little bit longer, all I'm going to be able to get is like 30 to 60 days. That's not a bad thing, but that's showing us what's current, which is good. So when I'm looking at your lab, the first thing I'm looking at is the 4 electrolytes, which is calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium. And so I want to take a nice 30,000 foot view of those electrolytes. And what I see is basically they're all high except for magnesium. And we know that magnesium is the most calming of the minerals in the body. So magnesium actually begins to calm the sympathetic nervous system. Potassium is used for the parasympathetic, no doubt about it, but it isn't always in direct control. I'll talk about that in a moment. So sodium is kind of falling down. What I would say is this. Have you ever run this minerals and metals test before?
No, that was the first time.
Okay. I would bet a few years ago, not recently, but a few years ago, all 4 of yours would have been in the red at the very top. I believe that you were in the alarm stage of stress in your teenage years, maybe you're even your mid-20s or so, and then it started to drop because your body can only hold strong in fight or flight for so long. And then as you get older, it just begins to weaken. So a lot of the issues that we start to have in our mid-30s or 40s have been taking place usually for years. And that's probably what this is showing right now. Starting to drop into the green as if it was a good thing. But no, it's actually on its way down most likely. Either way, higher calcium to magnesium shows a higher stress in the body. And then you have what's called an upside down sodium to potassium. that means your ability to actually get into fight or flight is now compromised. And so that means that you're not able to have the same strong response as you were years ago. Do you feel that or not so much right now?
Sometimes I do feel just kind of like you said, I heard you say tired and wired.
Yes.
Where I'm just like, I definitely feel stressed out and anxious, but I'm also just tired. And it's just very hard to have that get up and go. And I'm just like, wow, but I still feel stressed out and anxious.
Yes.
So things like that. Yeah.
And it's a good point too. And I'm making a note of that, which I put in my new book that'll be out in December, is that wired doesn't have to show up as high energy. It can show up as high anxiety. High anxiety is wired. So when I say wired before bed, it doesn't mean you're not tired. It means you're anxious and you can't turn your mind off. It's like you can't shut down the body. And so that is what this shows. But also remember, when your potassium is elevated, that means that you are most likely breaking down tissue. There is more catabolism in the body. Now, you look like you exercise, you keep yourself in shape, all of those good things. The problem is it's going to be hard to add muscle. It's going to be hard to keep muscle on. It's going to be hard to keep belly fat off. Because if we were to run your stress mood metabolism or other labs, there'd probably be cortisol dysregulation. And it might eventually start to affect your thyroid. And so right now I see a system that shows potentially being prone to, as you just said, tinnitus, headaches, allergies, gut-based issues, all because you're under a greater amount of stress and you're not able to keep up with the stress as well as you used to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's totally accurate because I also did one of your cortisol tests and I have low cortisol in the morning, which makes total sense because sometimes I wake up in the morning even after like 8 hours and I'm like, I'm tired.
Do you remember what your cortisol was, what the number was? It's okay.
I think it was, I want to say somewhere, I think it was somewhere like 2 to 3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Maybe even a little higher than 3, but somewhere around that region. I don't remember exactly.
Okay. Yeah. And we want that, a good strong 7, 8, 9. So, okay. Yeah, that makes total sense. And again, this happens over time. All right. So I understand the stress picture and I understand that the body is, again, more in this breakdown based state. So now let's look at your other minerals. These are all great minerals we want in the body. I like the 30,000 foot view first that I always work with a client. And I want everything ideally in that green ideal zone. All of yours are low, except for phosphorus. And I would prefer even phosphorus for it to be low than high, but it's high. And the reason why it's is elevated is because of that catabolic nature. So your body's breaking down most likely more tissue. And it's doing that because either the body's just stressed, right, and needs nutrients, or you're dropping into low blood sugar. That's possible when you have high levels of stress, or you're fasting too long. Like there can be a lot of reasons, or overexercising again, or your body's just really stressed. And so what we need to do is when we take into account your nutrition and nutritional supplements and sleep and non-sleep deep rest, which I want to talk about, all of this has to be taken into consideration because when all of your nutrients are basically low, like yours, it usually means either someone's eating a lot of processed food diet, which I'm sure you're not, or they're not eating enough total calories. Maybe we'll check that out. Or you're burning through them at too fast a rate because of how intense the stressor, some stressor, it doesn't have to be your mind, it could be something in your body, is wearing on the body. Does that all make sense? I want to make sure that's understood.
Makes sense.
Okay. So let's look at one more section. And that one more section, and again, like anybody who's not familiar, the minerals and metals test, all the labs over at Equal Life, it gives you a summary of your results. And of course, all of these come with a health coaching call, should you want one. But when we look at your toxic metals, that's your lead, your mercury, your cadmium, your arsenic, and your aluminum. It's basically, for this lab, it's almost binary, like if you're either good or you're not good, but we can read into it a little bit. So even though you're good with lead, it's still higher than I would like it to be, which is a strange one. I mean, it really everybody's lead should be really low. Like that's the thing. It should just see how where cadmium and arsenic are very low. That's essentially where I want it, very low. So that does mean the test is very sensitive. So, and lead isn't something that's going to show up randomly on this lab. Like it just won't. So there is some exposure in the past. Again, we've never run this lab before, which is why I love people to run this at least once a year. So I can see if this is recent, not recent, what happened. But usually it comes from lead pipes, contaminated herbs, That's why, again, I definitely recommend third-party tested nutritional supplement companies, because in herbs there can be lead, certain foods, etc. But anything you know of that might have had lead contamination?
First thing that comes to mind would probably be, not anymore, but from years back, is a lot of tap water. That could be it. I used to take like nutritional supplements that were like completely conventional, not third party tested. And I would do it with tap water just because I didn't know at the time how contaminated tap water could be. That's what comes off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure there's a whole host of other things that haven't come to mind.
Okay. And if this is a past exposure, the next time you run this lab, maybe like 6 months from now, you should see the number come down. So that's the good news. Now, again, it's not high, but any lead to me is toxic to the nervous system. So I obviously just want to keep trying to decrease it, right? Cool. Mercury isn't as high as it looks. It's a 0.004, 0.001 is basically our cutoff. So, it's there. There's definitely exposure, whether it's from fish or fillings in your teeth that are silver-based fillings, mercury amalgams, or water, again, can be an exposure for that. Or, as I said, if I didn't mention already, fish. So that's that. But it's really aluminum on this that when I say concerned, it means I'm concerned for you, but all of this is very fixable. Like, it's not that this is not life-threatening. All of these things are very fixable. And again, especially for someone in their early to mid-30s, this is all very fixable. But 0.15 is our limit, and you're at 1.39. So you can see, obviously, that's multiples of the limit that we would want to see for aluminum. And so this would be our first thing. Are you using aluminum pans, aluminum spatulas, aluminum foil, antiperspirants? Where's this aluminum coming from? Sometimes even just like a water filter that has aluminum mesh, believe it or not, a Brita filter. Yes, it helps to take out some of these other things, but it can actually add aluminum and mercury back in. Usually just aluminum, I shouldn't say mercury. So where do you think the aluminum's coming from?
I would say probably just throughout my whole life. I would say just until maybe like 2 years ago, I started to use like aluminum-free pans. And maybe like 5 years ago, I stopped using aluminum. I use aluminum-free deodorant. Okay. But yeah, there's definitely throughout my whole life, I was heavily exposed to aluminum just through cookware and all those types of things.
Yeah, that's what this could be. A lot
of packaged stuff that has like aluminum foil lining and all those types of things. So yeah, not really surprised on the aluminum there.
Right. And who knows? It could have been a 2.5 or 3. 3 years ago. Like we don't know, because it's the first time running the lab. That's why I love the annual lab testing. So, okay, but no problem. We will certainly do a heavy metal detox, and we'll make sure to get those down. That's for sure. And then, of course, sauna combined with the heavy metal detox, even better for long time use. So that's going to be part of my recommendations. Did you have any questions on this lab before we do go through your personalized recommendations?
I don't think so.
Okay. The first thing that I would say is that when you see this level of stress, and even though like when I'm talking to you, that's the thing, is like when I'm talking to you, you seem perfectly fine, right? And that's the issue though with conventional medicine, is like, Ariel seems totally fine. He seems in good health. He seems in good spirits. So you shared with me what is the issue, but also I have to go by your labs, that even though you seem healthy, you seem good, you seem like you're in good shape, it's not about that. It's actually about, we need to work on what's on the inside that we can't see, that these labs give us really great value in. So what I would say, based on seeing these higher stress-based markers, the weaker ability to work with that stress, the higher catabolic nature, meaning the more breakdown, it could lead to in the future thinning hair, thinning skin, muscle loss, belly fat gain, poor restorative sleep, all of those things. And do you track your sleep at all right now?
I don't track my sleep, but I do plan on getting an Oura Ring soon.
Yeah. And, so a great sleep tracker, whatever you decide to use, would be great, because right now, let's say before you start the plan that we're talking about, let's say you get 40 minutes of deep sleep and you get an hour and a half of REM. Okay, well, we're going to get you up to 75 to 90 minutes of deep and 2+ hours of REM. And then after weeks of that, you're going to start to feel like, oh, I'm getting real restorative sleep. As long as we don't burn out then during the day, we don't use all of that up.
Cool.
All right. So we want you in bed for 9 hours a night. I mean, it's literally part of the healing plan. So call it and earlier the better. So more restorative sleep, earlier the better. So it's not always easy, but I would just, again, if I were you, I would say we're going to be in bed from 9 to 6 or 9:30 to 6:30. And so that would be my goal. So we're going to get at least 8.5 hours then, because nobody falls asleep. Well, Some people fall asleep within, 2 minutes of their head hitting the pillow. But most people, it takes, 15, 20 minutes or so. And so maybe it even takes longer for you if there's anxiety. So we want to really try to get 8.5 to 9 hours of sleep.
Sounds good.
All right. So that's the first place. Whenever we want to start to restore the body, we always look towards sleep. Very, very important. So then we work backwards. Again, we're going to stop eating 3 to 4 hours before bed so that all of the real digestion in the stomach is done and can move into the intestines. But then again, we're on the rest part. So let me just say right now, all of the exercise and all of the workouts and all of the training, that is not what we're focused on for the next 12 to 16 weeks. We want to reduce that in order to help the nervous system and the body feel safe and essentially rejuvenated. So there's no extra right now to give out. So if you're breaking down muscle tissue and your body's not fully recovering, we're not doing your body a service. So some body weight exercise, very light for right now, some walking, all of that is fine, but not overdoing. It can help reduce anxiety, which is why I like it, but not overdoing. Like there's going to be plenty of time for that once you're well, once you're healed. What I want to focus on actually is, just like I said, the light things, but also post-lunch. Have you ever heard of something called non-sleep deep rest?
Non-sleep, yeah, I have.
So it's anything basically that's like a 20 to 30 minute meditation, lying on a PMF mat, going for a light walk, getting sunlight, breath work sessions. It's anything that helps the body to rest, essentially, like improve HRV. It can be, it honestly could just be lying down for a 30-minute nap. Like it really can be. So that's not an issue. If you have a PMF mat, great. If not, literally you can just lie in Sadasana from yoga and that's it. And so all of that would be fine. But we really, when I was recovering, I always called it like my first part of the day and my second part of the day. So first part of the day was, let's just call it, 8 to 1. And second half of the day was like, working hours was like 1 to 6, or I'm just kind of making up numbers for right now. But you've got like 2, 5 or 6 hours days in there. And in between, your second day is like, okay, you nourish the body with food and then you rest for a little bit. It's like a siesta, and then so like that's what you're really looking to do so that you have enough energy for the second half of the day. And I mean, like, I'm sure you could push through, and you do push through the second half of the day, but real energy. So like you're restored. I don't do it anymore. I wish I wanted to. I mean, like, again, everybody can do it if they need to, and I don't need to, but I always felt so restored after just literally lying down for, call it 25 minutes. It was unbelievable. And I would do that a lot of times when I was opening up my second location to just prevent myself from burning out. And it was very, very helpful. An acupressure mat can be great too. Very inexpensive acupressure mat. You just lie on it, feels good.
And that makes so much sense because when I do start my mornings with like a 15-minute meditation, I do get this like rush of energy and of clean energy. And I'm like, wow, this is so different than if I don't do it. So I'm just working on being more consistent with that because sometimes, you just don't do it. And
yes.
So I'm trying to be more consistent with, at least in the mornings, like a 15-minute meditation, because it goes a long way. It's very cool.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. And cap your day. Start your day with meditation, end your day with meditation. So it calms the mind in the morning and calms the mind in the evening. I have a podcast called The 3 Anchors Per Day. And basically it's morning, post lunch, that could just be your nap meditation, and then end of the day. And so no matter where you get off track, because we're human, you'll be able to reset and pull yourself back. So I think that'll be really great. Just a couple of other notes that I just want to share with you is that I would not do a lot of sauna or a lot of cold plunge right now. Cold plunge is too excitatory for the nervous system, and sauna right now is too draining of your minerals. You just don't, so I want you to do sauna because of the heavy metals, but I want to be careful that you're not over sweating or overheating your body, which will actually probably cause more of the tinnitus as well.
Okay, that makes sense.
So let's get more nutrients in, which I love. I mean, it's great, but I want to make sure you're not overdoing that, over sweating and dropping your minerals too low.
Sounds good.
All right. And then in terms of food and supplements, we really need to re-nourish your body, and more so now than even in the future, because we need toxicities and deficiencies. Okay. We know some of the toxicities, but deficiencies, we need to make back up a lot of those minerals. So starting your day with a little bit of electrolytes, I think would be great, without a doubt. But your food should be easy to digest right now. While you're in the sympathetic nervous system in fight or flight, we're talking if I were you, I'd do 2 daily nutritional support a day. 1 in the morning, 1 mid-afternoon. And the reason is that it's all of your B vitamins, which you need, your zinc and your copper, which you need. It has fiber in it. It has antioxidants, and it has electrolytes. So it's just, you would cut way down your supplements, because if not, I'm recommending activated B complex, balanced zinc, extra vitamin C. So that's just does it for you. Just 2 scoops twice a day. And that's not forever, probably for like 6 months, maybe just a little bit longer. But like that's about the right amount. Call it 6 to 8 months. Your cells turn over every 3 to 4 months. Call it 2 cell turnovers. That's probably about right. And then on top of that, of course, your omega-3s for your nervous system, and then magnesium. So how much magnesium are you using right now? Most people use magnesium. I'm just wondering if you're using any.
So around 6, 7 p.m., I take 2 capsules of the full spectrum magnesium.
And how long were you doing that before you ran this lab?
I wasn't.
Okay, so that's a different story. So we don't need to go overboard because you weren't taking any before. So that's pretty easy. So we'll do 1 magnesium at lunch. If it makes you overly tired, we won't do it for now, but we'll do 1 at lunch and we'll do 2 at dinner.
Okay.
And so that's going to be about 330 to 350 milligrams. That's good. We can always add more if we need to, but we don't want to push you too far into the parasympathetic where, you just have brain fog and you're just, wiped out. So it's a nice little balance. If on your stress immunometabolism test, you saw high cortisol at night, I would use 2 to 3 adrenal soothe at dinner.
Gotcha.
Because I don't know where
that's high at night, the cortisol.
You did have elevated? Okay. Yeah. And then we will want to use liquid melatonin or sleep help support. So either one of those 30 minutes before bed.
Okay.
Yeah. We need to drop you into a deep restorative sleep as quickly as possible between 10 and 2 at night.
Okay.
Yeah. Really important. That's what I would focus on. The 2-DNS does so much. It literally gives you more vitamin C. I didn't mention vitamin D3. And vitamin D3, depending on your results on the stress immunometabolism test, do you know what your vitamin D3 was? Just range.
It was very low. 20. I forgot the units of measurement, but it was very low.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll need to start you then, whatever. I know you did work, believe you said, with Julia, who's fantastic. So you'll want to just be around most likely 5,000 IUs, and then you'll drop down to 4,000 IUs after about a month or so. We don't want to overdo it, but 20 is very low. And so we need to get that number up quickly for your overall immune system.
Yeah. And right now, every morning I do 6,000 IU. So, and I'm just trying to get like maybe 20 to 30 minutes in the actual sun. So I just walk outside. Yes. So I've been really trying to tackle that vitamin D down. So
that's fantastic. Yeah. And this morning sunlight is so great for your circadian rhythm. And then again, just a light walk after dinner. If you have a dog, family, whatever it might be, just go for a little walk, because seeing the sun setting helps you then to lower cortisol naturally and increase then subsequently melatonin. So all of these will absolutely help. I don't want to overdo the supplementation right now. There's a lot more you could do. You could use adrenal energy support at breakfast and maybe even at lunch for natural energy. I would have no issues with that. For the sinus-based issues, I would probably push you towards sinus and immune support, which has NAC and bromelain that helps with the drainage of the sinuses. It also has licorice root, which is great for energy as well. Hist Pro is my favorite vitamin C quercetin base for people with histamine and sinus-based issues. You could certainly use that. What I would say, though, is if you haven't run any gut testing, the next lab test to run would be the Candida metabolic and vitamins test and or the food sensitivity test. But the Candida test would come first, because if there's gut issues, that's a true underlying root cause. I wasn't able to solve my sinus issues until I fixed my gut. I had massive Candida overgrowth. I had SIBO. I had a lot of issues. And believe it or not, what happens in your gut can affect your sinuses. And people might say, how is that possible? Well, it's called the mucus-associated lymphoid tissue. And if there's an overabundance of histamines or leukotrienes, et cetera, and there's fungal overgrowth in your gut, there can also be fungal overgrowth in your nasal passages. And mine happened from a lifetime, basically, of antibiotic use.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, as a child, I also did several rounds of antibiotics as a kid too, because I would have recurring ear infections a lot as a kid. And I would take a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, but I did several rounds of antibiotics and things like that. So definitely something to explore.
Yeah, well, this lab test is a great first step. If anybody hasn't run their lab yet, first-time clients, we offer 50% off many of these labs. You can find that at stephencabral.com/first lab. I believe that's the name of the URL, stephencabral.com/first lab. We'll link it up here today as well in the show notes. And then if anybody would like to have their lab read live on the show, they can go to stephencabral.com/lab read, and we take all applications there. Ariel, any other questions before we sign off for today?
Yeah. Is there any type of spray or something you recommend? I know sinus rinsing, like before I go to bed, I noticed the huge difference of when I can't breathe at night versus when I can breathe in my terms of my energy levels in the morning. So
that's a great question, because not everybody can malt tape right away because their sinuses are inflamed or they're stuffed up essentially with mucus. And so totally understand that. I do still really like the Breathe Right strips, and a lot of different companies make them. So the Breathe Right strips go over basically the cartilage of the nose and nasal of the nostrils, and it helps to open it up. And then nasal spray wise, there's a few different types that you can use, and you can see which one seems to work best for you for right now. The Nutribiotic nasal spray that contains grapefruit seed extract is excellent. It contains citricidal. So 2 to 3 sprays in the nostril in the morning, 2 to 3 sprays a half hour before bed. Not right away, because you can get postnasal drip from the liquid. Now, in terms of the neti pot, I typically do recommend that in the morning, and that would be with just a couple drops of citricidal or something to be able to. They make sinus rinse-based ones to kill whatever might be in the water, but also in your nasal passages too. You never really want to just use straight tap water. You want to have a water filter if you're going to do that, or distilled water, and that would work as well. So those are what I'm a fan of for sure. And Nutribiotic makes a great throat spray as well.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, it was great having you on here today. Great meeting you. Always appreciate people stepping up, sharing their lab, and just showing everybody, deals with these things. They really do. I dealt with all of this, and my labs were very imbalanced when I was younger. And I'm glad that obviously someone took the time, shared with me how to read these, and it made a tremendous difference in my life. So Ariel, once again, thank you so much. We appreciate you being on. And for everybody else, we'll be back tomorrow with a brand new Cabral concept. Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye.